My arrogant husband kicked me out of our restaurant and stole my secret family recipes for his new mistress, completely unaware that I am the anonymous head inspector for the Global Culinary Review Board. For 5 exhausting years, I worked in the shadows of that boiling kitchen, perfecting the very dishes that made Julian a famous head chef. He took all the public glory whilst I wore a stained apron in the background. Last month, he finally showed his true colors. I walked into the private pantry and caught him passionately kissing his new sous chef, Chloe. Instead of apologizing, Julian coldly handed me an eviction notice. Chloe laughed cruelly, snatching my handwritten recipe journal right out of my hands, and told me to pack my bags because she was the new face of the restaurant. They thought I was just a naive, talentless woman who would quietly fade away into poverty. What those 2 pathetic traitors didn't realize was that I had already submitted my resignation as his secret prep cook and assumed my rightful, highly classified position on the Federal Culinary Board. Tonight was the most important night of Julian's miserable life, the highly publicized grand opening of his new luxury restaurant, expecting to be awarded his first prestigious star. I didn't stay home crying over my stolen recipes. I pushed open the heavy glass doors of the dining room, wearing a flawless, pristine, crimson-red designer suit, completely shedding my weak disguise. And I wasn't alone. I was flanked by a massive team of elite health inspectors and federal culinary auditors. The elegant classical music abruptly stopped as the wealthy diners gasped in absolute shock at my commanding presence. Julian stumbled backward, dropping his expensive silver-tasting spoon as his arrogant smile vanished instantly. "But you're a nobody," Chloe stuttered, her fake professional persona completely shattering as she realized the audit was entirely real. "I'm the head inspector, and this food is an absolute disgrace," I whispered softly. I handed the lead auditor the glowing digital tablet, fully exposing Julian's massive health code violations, intellectual property theft, and fraudulent financial records. Julian's toxic smirk vanished instantly as the security agents calmly detained him in front of his ruined elite guests. Chloe fell to her knees in her expensive dress, sobbing hysterically and begging the agents to let her keep her job. I walked right up to the pass, looking down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to erase my existence, radiating absolute, untouchable control. "Your kitchen is officially closed," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted out the door to face severe justice. "Today, they are banned from the culinary industry forever, whilst I enjoy my gourmet meals in perfect peace." If you love seeing arrogant traitors get their stolen careers completely destroyed, hit that subscribe button right now.
I found out my billionaire husband was cheating on me with my absolute best friend. But instead of crying, I uncovered their sick, twisted secret and completely destroyed both of their lives. Hi, I'm Mia. I am drop-dead gorgeous, insanely curvy, and perfectly aware of how much power my body holds. I live in a $50 million mega mansion, married to Ethan, one of the wealthiest tech CEOs in the city. Ethan treated me like a goddess, constantly showering me with massive diamonds and limited edition sports cars. My life was a flawless, luxurious fantasy, and I shared every single moment of it with my best friend, Sarah. Sarah was practically my sister. She had full access to my mansion, my closets, and supposedly my complete trust. During the summer, Sarah would practically live at our estate, lounging by the massive infinity pool every day. I would wear my tiniest, most revealing string bikinis, fully confident in my breathtaking, voluptuous figure. Ethan would bring us expensive cocktails, his eyes always respectfully glued to my massive curves. Or so I thought. Looking back, the red flags were everywhere, but I was too blinded by luxury to see the toxic betrayal. The nightmare officially started on a rainy Tuesday when Ethan accidentally left his secondary business phone at home. I was wearing a dangerously short, low-cut silk slip dress, walking through his dark mahogany office. The phone suddenly buzzed on his heavy oak desk. A text message popped up on the glowing lock screen. The sender's name was simply S. The message read, "Last night was insane. Is the blonde bimbo out of the house?" My heart violently stopped. Blonde bimbo? That was me, and S could only mean one person, Sarah. A sickening wave of betrayal washed over me, but I didn't scream, and I definitely didn't confront him. I am not a weak, pathetic victim. If my husband and my best friend wanted to play dirty, I would play lethal. I immediately hired the most expensive, utterly ruthless private investigator in the entire country. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the role of the sweet, oblivious, incredibly sexy trophy wife to absolute perfection. I wore the tightest, lowest cut dresses, intentionally seducing Ethan every night, just to see him sweat with guilt. "You are the only woman I will ever love, Mia," Ethan would whisper, kissing my bare neck with lying lips. Meanwhile, my private investigator was planting ultra-hidden micro-cameras inside my own master bedroom. I needed absolute, undeniable, high-definition proof of their disgusting, unforgivable betrayal. Finally, the trap was set. I told Ethan I was going to a luxury spa resort for the entire weekend. I packed my expensive designer bags, kissed his lying mouth goodbye, and drove away in my massive SUV. But I didn't go to the spa. I drove straight to a nearby high-end hotel and opened my encrypted laptop. My hands were visibly shaking as I logged into the live feed of the hidden cameras in my mega mansion. Within exactly 2 hours, Ethan walked into our pristine master bedroom, passionately kissing Sarah. Sarah was wearing my expensive silk robe, running her hands through his dark hair like she owned the place. I watched them brutally violate my sacred bed, my blood boiling with a level of rage I had never felt before. But the raw infidelity wasn't even the worst part. It was what they said after they were finished. Ethan poured 2 glasses of champagne and handed one to my treacherous, backstabbing best friend. "How much longer do we have to wait, Ethan? I'm sick of playing the supportive bestie," Sarah whined annoyingly. "Just 2 more weeks," Ethan smirked darkly, taking a slow sip of his expensive champagne. "Once Mia's signature is fully forged on the new life insurance policy, we'll cut the brakes on her sports car." The champagne glass slipped from my hand in the hotel room, shattering completely on the floor. They weren't just having a dirty affair. They were actively plotting a brutal, cold-blooded murder to steal my money. Ethan's massive tech company was secretly bankrupt, and my inherited trust fund was his only way to survive. I sat in the dark hotel room, staring at my laptop screen, my sadness instantly burning away into pure, toxic vengeance. They thought I was just a beautiful, brainless blonde with a massive chest and zero intelligence. They were about to find out that I am the most dangerous, calculating nightmare they could ever imagine. The next morning, I returned to the mansion, wearing a dangerously tight, extremely revealing red mini dress. I smiled flawlessly at Ethan, acting completely normal as I poured his morning coffee in the bright kitchen. For the next 14 days, I secretly and aggressively moved all my massive inherited wealth into untouchable offshore accounts. I hired top-tier forensic accountants to completely freeze Ethan's remaining personal credit cards and hidden assets. I even secretly bought the massive bank debt that his failing tech company owed, making me his absolute literal owner. The grand finale of my revenge was set for our massive, highly publicized 5th anniversary gala. The mansion's ballroom was packed with 500 of the city's wealthiest elites, politicians, and reporters. I walked down the grand staircase wearing a custom, jaw-dropping black gown that pushed up my massive cleavage. Every single eye in the opulent ballroom was glued to my incredibly sexy, commanding figure. Ethan stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking dashing in his tuxedo, with Sarah standing nearby in a red dress. Ethan proudly took my hand, leading me to the center stage while the crowd clapped wildly. "To my beautiful wife, Mia, the absolute love of my life," Ethan announced, raising his glass of expensive champagne. "Thank you, darling," I smiled wickedly, taking the microphone from his sweating, lying hands. "I also have a very special, highly produced anniversary video to share with all of our amazing guests tonight." I clicked a small remote. The massive cinema screen behind us instantly flickered to life in stunning high definition. But it wasn't a romantic montage. It was the hidden camera footage of Ethan and Sarah having wild sex in my bed. The entire massive ballroom erupted in unified gasps of sheer horror. Women screamed, and reporters started snapping photos wildly. Ethan's face drained of all color. He dropped his champagne glass, looking like he had seen a literal ghost. Sarah tried to run and hide her face, but my private security guards instantly blocked all the exit doors. But I wasn't finished. I let the explicit video play until the exact moment they started discussing my murder. Ethan's recorded voice boomed through the massive speakers. "We'll cut the brakes on her sports car." Absolute deafening silence fell over the massive, opulent ballroom. The guests looked at Ethan with pure disgust. "You see?" I spoke into the mic, my voice echoing powerfully. "My husband isn't a billionaire. He's completely broke. And as of this morning, I officially own his failing company, his frozen bank accounts, and this entire mansion." Ethan fell to his knees in his expensive tuxedo, crying pathetically, completely ruined in front of the entire city. "Mia, please, it was just a stupid joke. I would never hurt you," he begged, grabbing my high heels desperately. I looked down at him, my massive chest heaving with triumphant power. "You're right, Ethan, you won't." Suddenly, the heavy oak doors of the ballroom burst open. 6 heavily armed FBI agents stormed into the room. I had handed over all the explicit footage and the forged insurance documents directly to the federal authorities. The agents aggressively slammed Ethan onto the marble floor, locking heavy steel handcuffs onto his wrists. Another agent violently grabbed Sarah by her red dress, reading her Miranda rights as she sobbed hysterically. I stood on the grand stage, looking like an absolute, untouchable, incredibly sexy goddess of vengeance. Ethan and my treacherous ex-best friend were dragged out of the mansion in total humiliating disgrace. They are both facing 20 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit murder and massive wire fraud. As for me, I kept the $50 million mega mansion and my massive protected inheritance. I am currently sipping an expensive cocktail on a private yacht in Monaco, wearing a microscopic string bikini. Never ever underestimate a gorgeous, curvy woman who knows exactly how to use her brain and her body. If your husband is acting suspicious, drop a comment below and subscribe if you love a lethal, sexy revenge story.
My deceitful husband faked my disappearance to steal my family's priceless diamond collection, completely unaware that I am the billionaire owner of the international auction house he was trying to use. For 3 months, I played the role of a naive, trusting wife, letting Julian believe his sinister plan to drain my inheritance was actually working. He claimed Elena was a world-renowned jewelry appraiser who needed to inspect my ancestral diamonds. But my hidden thermal security cameras immediately exposed their highly inappropriate secret romance in my own vault. I watched silently as Julian started staging financial documents, trying to slowly erase my legal existence so he could seize my entire fortune and sell the diamonds to the highest bidder. They thought I was just a fragile woman who had quietly fled the country in tears. What those 2 pathetic traitors didn't realize was that I had already swapped the genuine diamonds with perfect replica stones weeks ago. Every single whisper, every forged document, and every secret kiss was meticulously recorded and securely transmitted to an Interpol investigative task force. This afternoon, Julian and Elena were hosting a lavish private auction for corrupt international buyers to officially sell off my family's legacy. I didn't stay hidden in the shadows pretending to be a victim. I pushed open the heavy oak doors of the auction room wearing a flawless, pristine white designer gown, completely shedding my weak disguise. And I wasn't alone. I was flanked by a massive team of elite federal financial investigators. The elegant classical music abruptly stopped as the corrupt buyers gasped in absolute shock at my perfect clarity and commanding presence. Julian stumbled backward, his arrogant smile vanishing instantly as he stared directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. "But you're supposed to be gone," Elena stuttered, her fake professional persona completely shattering as she realized the federal raid was entirely real. "I'm just here to place the winning bid," I whispered, softly. I handed the lead investigator the glowing digital tablet, fully exposing Julian's massive fraud, their sickening affair, and the forged auction documents. Julian's toxic smirk vanished instantly as the federal agents calmly detained him in front of his ruined buyers. Elena fell to her knees in her expensive silk dress, sobbing hysterically and begging the agents to let her go. I walked right up to the auction block, looking down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to erase my existence, radiating absolute untouchable control.
Finally,
"Your auction is officially canceled," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted out the sunlit doors to face severe international justice. Today, they are facing decades behind bars while I wear my family's diamonds in perfect peace. If you love seeing toxic traders fall directly into their own traps, hit that subscribe button right now. And let me know in the comments below, would you have let them start the bidding first? The billionaire's arrogant fiancé forced me to my knees to scrub her designer shoes, but her cruel laughter stopped when she realized the lowly maid scrubbing her feet owned her entire bloodline. I'm Alara, and I have the innocent face of a servant, but the ruthless heart of a mafia heiress. Exactly 1 month ago, I was working 12-hour shifts for Julian, a disgustingly wealthy tech billionaire. His icy blonde fiancée, Isabella, made it her personal mission to make my life a living hell. "You missed a spot. Trash," she smirked, deliberately pouring red wine onto the clean marble floor. But on a freezing, rainy night, a fleet of black SUVs pulled up to the servants' entrance. Elite corporate lawyers stepped out and handed me a glowing golden envelope. DNA tests had officially confirmed I was the sole legitimate heir to the Vanguard Empire. I had just inherited exactly $50 billion overnight. "What are your orders, Madam Chairman?" the head lawyer asked respectfully. "I want to buy the entire debt of Julian's tech company, every single penny," I ordered in the shadows. The grand finale of my revenge was their highly publicized engagement party. I was carrying a heavy silver tray of champagne when Isabella intentionally stuck out her foot. The tray shattered violently onto the polished marble floor. "Clean it up, garbage! On your knees!" Isabella shrieked hysterically. I slowly lowered myself amid the shattered glass, gripping a white cloth. Isabella raised her wine, declaring, "That's exactly where people like you belong, at my feet." I didn't scrub the shoe. I slowly stood back up, radiating absolute, terrifying dominance. I elegantly tossed the dirty cloth directly into her shocked face. "I think," I whispered, "I am officially firing you from my house." Before their security could move, the massive oak doors violently burst open. 20 elite bodyguards swarmed the room, completely surrounding me as the lead lawyer bowed perfectly. Julian physically stumbled backward, clutching his chest in sheer panic when he heard them call me Madame Chairman. I slammed the foreclosure document onto his chest. "I own every single debt your pathetic company owes, Julian. I bought your family's bank yesterday, Isabella. You are completely bankrupt." Julian dropped heavily to his knees on the glass, begging desperately while Isabella fell next to him. "Please, I'll scrub the floors," she sobbed, grabbing my maid uniform, but I violently yanked it away. "Get your hands off me. You literally cannot afford to touch me," I snapped. I snapped my fingers, and my guards dragged the screaming billionaires out of the ballroom as I untied my cheap apron. Today, they work minimum wage jobs while I sit on the throne of a $50 billion empire. So never underestimate the quiet girl serving your drinks.
I am wearing a $3 million engagement ring from a billionaire, but my new stepson is my secret one-night stand. Hi, I'm Chloe, and my perfect, luxurious life just turned into a twisted, high-stakes game of seduction. I've always been fiercely independent, working my way up as a top-tier luxury real estate agent in the city. My days were spent in glass offices, closing multi-million-dollar deals and looking absolutely flawless while doing it. I thought I had everything under control until the day I was hired to sell a massive luxury penthouse. That's how I met Julian, a devastatingly handsome silver fox billionaire who immediately caught my attention. Julian wasn't just wealthy. He was charming, powerful, and he practically worshipped the ground I walked on. He started pursuing me relentlessly, sending hundreds of red roses to my office every single morning. Soon we were flying on his private jets, dining in Paris and sleeping in 5-star suites. Julian spoiled me with designer wardrobes and treated me like an absolute, untouchable queen. I had finally secured the ultimate fairy tale that every single girl dreams of having. On our 6-month anniversary, Julian took me to a private yacht under the starry night sky. He got down on one knee and presented a massive, custom-made diamond engagement ring. I said yes, completely blinded by the luxury, the absolute safety, and his warm smile. But to understand how this fairy tale became a total nightmare, we need to rewind a bit. Exactly 6 months before I met Julian, my friends dragged me on a wild girls trip to Miami. I had just gone through a terrible breakup and desperately needed a night of reckless fun. We ended up in an exclusive neon-lit underground club, surrounded by thumping music and heavy drinking. That's when I saw him across the VIP room, a mysterious, dangerously hot blonde guy staring right at me. We never exchanged names, but the physical chemistry between us was instantly and undeniably explosive. He pulled me onto the dance floor, and before I knew it, we were in his hotel room. It was the most unforgettable, intensely passionate one-night stand of my entire life. When I woke up the next morning, he was still asleep, looking like a literal dark angel. I quietly slipped out of the room, leaving absolutely no number and no trace behind. I convinced myself it was just a crazy vacation memory that I would eventually forget. But I could never truly get his intense dark eyes or his heated touch out of my mind. Fast forward to the present day. I was officially moving into Julian's sprawling mega mansion. The estate was breathtaking, complete with flawless marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and an army of staff. Julian wanted to celebrate my arrival by throwing a lavish high society welcome party. He also mentioned casually that his only son was flying back from Europe just to meet me. I wanted to make the absolute perfect first impression as the future stepmother of the estate. I spent hours getting ready, putting on my most breathtaking, tight, backless red evening gown. The mansion was filled with wealthy guests, sipping expensive champagne and listening to a live orchestra. I took a deep, shaky breath and began walking down the grand marble staircase to join Julian. Julian was standing at the bottom, beaming with pride, chatting with a tall young man. "Chloe, darling, come meet my son," Julian called out, his voice echoing in the grand hall. The young man slowly turned around, holding a crystal tumbler of whiskey in his hand. My heart completely stopped. The champagne glass slipped from my fingers and shattered on the floor. Standing there, wearing a wicked, knowing smirk, was the mysterious stranger from Miami. My unforgettable one-night stand was Julian's son, Liam. The hottest, most dangerous mistake of my life. I was completely paralyzed with sheer panic, but Liam didn't miss a single beat. He smoothly walked over, stepping over the broken glass, and extended his hand to me politely. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Chloe," Liam said, his voice dripping with hidden sarcasm. Julian completely missed the heavy, suffocating sexual tension crackling between us in the room. He proudly pulled Liam into a fatherly hug, laughing about how great the family looked together. As Julian turned his back to greet another guest, Liam immediately leaned into my personal space. "Looking forward to having you in the family, stepmom," he whispered right against my ear. A massive shiver ran straight down my spine. I was trapped in a beautiful billionaire's cage. The rest of the dinner party was absolute torture. I could barely swallow my expensive food. Liam sat directly across from me at the long dining table, never breaking his intense eye contact. Every time Julian praised me, Liam would take a slow sip of dark wine and smirk darkly. The next morning, Julian kissed my forehead and left for a week-long corporate business trip. I was left entirely alone in the massive, echoing mansion. Or at least, so I thought. I walked down to the vast, modern kitchen in my silk robe to get some morning coffee. Liam was already there, leaning against the marble counter, shirtless and dangerously fit. "Sleep well, stepmom?" he asked, his dark eyes slowly trailing up and down my body. I tried to act cold and professional, reminding him that I was marrying his wealthy father. He just laughed, stepping closer until I was backed up against the cold refrigerator door. "My dad doesn't know you like I do, Chloe," he murmured, his breath hot on my neck. I pushed him away and ran back to my room, my heart pounding completely out of my chest. But Liam was completely relentless. He constantly found excuses to corner me when the maids weren't looking. One afternoon, I was sunbathing by the estate's massive infinity pool, trying my best to relax. Liam suddenly dove into the water, surfacing right at the edge of my white lounge chair. Drops of water fell from his blonde hair as he stared at me with pure, undeniable hunger. If Julian finds out the truth, I'll lose my billionaire lifestyle and my flawless reputation forever. But resisting Liam was becoming impossible. The forbidden nature of it only fueled the burning fire. Things reached a dangerous breaking point a few nights later in Julian's grand, dark library. I was reading a book when Liam walked in and explicitly locked the heavy oak doors behind him. The room was completely dark, lit only by the fireplace. He walked toward me with clear intention. "Tell me you don't want this," Liam challenged, gently grabbing my waist and pulling me close. I opened my mouth to protest, but the words completely died in my throat as he looked at me. Our faces were inches apart. The tension was so thick it was driving me absolutely insane. Suddenly, we heard the heavy sound of car tires crunching loudly on the gravel driveway outside. Julian was home 2 days early. We instantly sprang apart, fixing our messy clothes in a sheer panic. Julian walked into the library seconds later, looking tired but genuinely happy to see us both. "I missed you, darling," Julian smiled, kissing my cheek while Liam watched angrily from the shadows. Now, Julian is aggressively pushing to move our wedding date up to next month. I am literally suffocating under the crushing weight of this massive, scandalous secret in this house. Liam told me yesterday that if I walk down the aisle, he will ruin the wedding entirely. I have to choose a safe, billionaire future or a dangerous, passionate mistake. Subscribe for part 2.
My arrogant billionaire husband threw me out onto the street, calling me nothing but a dumb, useless trophy wife. For 3 agonizing years, I played the role of the perfect, silent, beautiful blonde doll for Julian's public image. He forced me to sign a brutal pre-nuptial agreement guaranteeing I would get absolutely nothing if we ever divorced. But what Julian didn't know was that I am not just a pretty face looking for a quick payday. I am Anya, the sole ruthless heiress to the largest underground European financial syndicate in the world. Yesterday, he cruelly brought his arrogant new secretary into our luxury penthouse and handed me divorce papers. "Pack your cheap bags and get out, you pathetic gold digger," he laughed, kissing his mistress right in front of me. I cried fake tears, begged on my knees, and let his security guards violently throw me out into the freezing rain. I let him believe he had won because the real trap had just been perfectly set. Julian's massive tech empire was entirely funded by a mysterious offshore shell corporation. He had absolutely no idea that I personally owned and controlled every single penny of that investment fund. Tonight, Julian was hosting a lavish $1 million engagement party to celebrate his new fiancée. I did not return wearing a cheap pink dress and crying mascara tears. I kicked down the massive ballroom doors wearing custom dark leather, flanked by 50 heavily armed elite private mercenaries. The loud party music violently stopped as the entire crowd of elites gasped in absolute, paralyzing terror. Julian physically stumbled backward, dropping his champagne glass when he recognized the lethal woman leading the army. You're supposed to be homeless, he stuttered, his face turning pale white with sheer panic. And you are supposed to be smart, Julian, I whispered coldly, tossing the glowing red foreclosure documents onto his shoes. I legally liquidated his entire company this morning, seizing his penthouse, his bank accounts, and his pathetic life. His new fiancée screamed hysterically as my heavily armed guards pinned Julian violently to the marble floor. He dropped heavily to his knees, sobbing like a child, desperately trying to kiss my high heels for mercy. You called me a dumb blonde, but I just bought your entire existence, I announced to the dead silent room. I elegantly stepped over his crying body, leaving him completely bankrupt and utterly destroyed. Today, Julian is scrubbing toilets in a federal prison, while I sit flawlessly on a $50 billion throne.
My cheating ex-boyfriend invited me to his billionaire wedding just to watch me cry in the back row. But his arrogant smile vanished when the church doors burst open and I walked down the aisle as his brand new stepmother. My name is Mia, and I'm about to show you exactly how a broke, heartbroken girl buys a billionaire's bloodline. To understand how I completely destroyed his life, we have to go back to the night he threw me out. For 3 agonizing years, I worked 3 miserable jobs to support Liam while he secretly built a fortune. I trusted him completely until the day his tech company finally went public and made millions. I came home to our tiny apartment, exhausted and wearing my cheapest clothes, only to find my bags thrown out. Liam was standing there in a pristine designer suit, tightly holding the waist of Chloe, a wealthy, stuck-up brunette. You're too poor and pathetic for me now, Mia. I'm marrying someone in my own elite class. He smirked viciously. He tossed a crumpled $20 bill at my face and slammed the heavy door, leaving me completely homeless. I sat on the freezing, wet pavement, crying uncontrollably as the heavy rain washed away my entire future. But exactly 2 days later, Destiny handed me the ultimate, perfectly lethal weapon for revenge. I was walking past a high-end luxury hotel when an older, sharply dressed man suddenly collapsed on the sidewalk. Wealthy pedestrians completely ignored him, but I rushed over, aggressively performing CPR until the paramedics arrived. I visited him in the VIP hospital wing the next morning, only to discover his name was Arthur. Arthur wasn't just any wealthy man. He was a $10 billion, incredibly ruthless real estate tycoon. And the sickening, twisted plot twist? He was Liam's estranged, extremely powerful father. Liam had completely lied about building his own company. He was secretly draining his father's massive trust fund. Arthur sat in his hospital bed, his sharp, intimidating eyes analyzing my innocent baby face and my curves. My son is a greedy, toxic parasite, and he thinks he's inheriting my empire with that awful girl, Arthur growled. He looked at me with a cold, calculating, billionaire smirk. I want to completely destroy his ego, and you are the perfect weapon. Marry me, Mia. I will give you half of my $10 billion empire, and you will become his worst nightmare. My eyes widened in pure shock. I looked down at my worn-out shoes, and then back at Arthur's terrifyingly calm face. A dark, wicked, incredibly toxic smile slowly spread across my glossy lips as I whispered, I accept. For the next 2 weeks, I was completely transformed. The poor, pathetic, crying girl was absolutely dead. Arthur's elite styling team dressed me in custom, dangerously tight designer gowns that screamed absolute power. We signed an ironclad marriage contract, officially transferring $5 billion directly into my personal bank account. The day of Liam's massive, highly publicized wedding finally arrived, and the tension was absolutely suffocating. The Grand Cathedral was packed with 500 of the city's wealthiest elites, with cameras flashing everywhere. I sat in a sleek black Maybach outside the church, my heart pounding aggressively against my ribs. Inside, Liam was standing proudly at the altar in his expensive white tuxedo, holding Chloe's hands. The older priest cleared his throat. "If anyone objects to this holy union, speak now or forever. Hold your peace." Suddenly, the massive, heavy oak doors of the cathedral violently burst open with a deafening thud. The entire church gasped in unified shock. The organ music violently stopped, and absolute silence fell. I stood powerfully in the doorway, wearing a jaw-dropping, dangerously tight black wedding dress. Every single eye in the opulent room was glued to my incredibly sexy, commanding alpha female figure. Liam's jaw completely dropped. He turned pale, staring at me in sheer, unadulterated terror. "Mia? What the hell are you doing here? Security, throw this trash out!" Liam screamed hysterically. I just smirked wickedly, slowly linking my arm through the arm of the man standing right next to me in the shadows. Arthur stepped forward into the light, wearing a sharp, bespoke tuxedo, radiating absolute, untouchable power. Liam physically stumbled backward, clutching his chest in panic. "Dad? What? Why is she with you?" Arthur looked at his son with pure, freezing disgust. "Watch your mouth when you speak to my wife, Liam." The entire cathedral erupted in explosive gasps and chaotic whispers as reporters aggressively raised their cameras. "Wife? You married this pathetic gold digger?" Chloe shrieked, her face turning ugly and red with intense rage. I elegantly strutted down the aisle, my expensive high heels clicking powerfully against the marble floor. I stopped right in front of them, looking down at my cheating ex with a cold, terrifyingly alpha female smirk. "It's stepmother, actually. You should show some respect to your elders," I whispered, my voice dripping with toxic venom. Arthur stood powerfully beside me. "I reviewed your company's finances, Liam. You've been stealing my money." Liam began to sweat profusely, giant drops rolling down his face as his entire arrogant world completely collapsed. "So, as a wedding gift, I am officially cutting you out of the will. Every single penny is going to Mia." "No, you can't do this. That money belongs to me," Liam sobbed hysterically, dropping heavily to his knees. "Actually," I interrupted, slowly pulling a glowing legal document from my designer clutch. "As the new majority shareholder of your tech company, I am officially firing you, Liam. You are completely bankrupt." Chloe looked at Liam in sheer horror. "You're broke. I'm not marrying a pathetic broke loser." She violently ripped off her massive diamond engagement ring, threw it directly at Liam's face, and ran away screaming. Liam crawled pathetically on the marble floor, desperately grabbing the black lace hem of my wedding dress. "Mia, please. I'm sorry. I still love you. Take me back," he begged, crying pathetic, ugly tears in front of everyone. I looked down at the ruined, miserable man who had thrown me out in the freezing rain just a month ago. I felt absolute 0% pity for him in my cold heart. I aggressively yanked my dress away from his filthy hands, looking at him with pure, cold-blooded disgust. "Get your hands off my dress. You can't afford it," I ordered coldly, asserting my absolute dominance. Arthur snapped his fingers sharply. 6 heavily armed private security guards instantly stormed the altar. They roughly grabbed Liam by his ruined white tuxedo, dragging him violently down the long aisle. He kicked and screamed hysterically, entirely humiliated in front of the city's 500 wealthiest elites. The heavy cathedral doors slammed shut behind him, sealing my ultimate, flawless victory. Arthur looked at me and smiled warmly, kissing my hand with absolute, genuine respect. We didn't just stage a fake marriage. we actually became an incredible, unstoppable billionaire team. Today, Liam is working a minimum wage job, living in a tiny, cramped apartment, completely isolated and miserable. Meanwhile, I am sitting on the throne of a $10 billion empire, sipping vintage champagne. I wear custom-tailored designer suits that show off my massive curves, completely commanding every room I enter. I am no longer the poor, pathetic girl crying in the freezing rain. I am the ultimate alpha female, and I literally own the man who tried to destroy me. He thought he could throw me out into the storm, but I came back as the absolute hurricane. Never, ever underestimate a gorgeous girl with a baby face and a broken heart. If you love a lethal, incredibly satisfying karma story, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. What would you have done if you were in my shoes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video with a friend who needs a savage reminder to never let anyone treat them like trash. Click the video on the screen right now to watch another shocking story of ultimate revenge. Thank you so much for watching, and always remember to watch your back. See you in the next scandalous secret.
My arrogant husband faked his own death in a fiery car crash to run away with his mistress, completely unaware that I am the billionaire CEO of the very insurance company he was trying to defraud. For 3 years, I played the role of a quiet, supportive wife, while Julian secretly transferred our joint assets into hidden offshore accounts. Last month, authorities told me he perished in a tragic accident, leaving me with mountains of forged corporate debt. I played the role of the devastated grieving widow perfectly, standing silently in a black veil at his empty funeral. But what Julian didn't know was that my private security network had already tracked his burner phone to a hyper-luxurious, exclusive tropical resort in the Maldives. He was there right now, intimately celebrating his massive $100 million life insurance payout with his secret mistress, Valeria. They thought they had permanently erased me and secured a lifetime of stolen luxury. I didn't stay home crying in my mourning clothes. I arrived at his secret private island wearing a flawless white tropical designer suit, flanked by a massive team of elite federal financial investigators on tactical speedboats. The upbeat beach party music abruptly stopped as the wealthy resort guests gasped in absolute shock. Julian stumbled backward in the pristine white sand, his arrogant smile vanishing instantly as he stared directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. "But you think I'm dead," he stuttered. His face turned pale white with sheer terror as he realized his massive fraud was entirely exposed. "I'm officially canceling your policy," I whispered softly. I handed the lead investigator the glowing digital tablet, fully exposing his forged death certificate and their sickening financial crimes. The federal agents calmly detained Julian right on the beach, securing heavy steel handcuffs onto his wrists. Valeria fell to her knees in the sand, sobbing hysterically and begging me not to freeze her stolen bank accounts. I looked down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to ruin my life, radiating absolute, untouchable control. "Your permanent vacation is over," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted onto the federal boats to face severe justice. Today, they are sitting in a federal penitentiary, while I enjoy the ocean breeze from my newly acquired private island. If you love seeing toxic traders get their tropical dreams completely destroyed, hit that subscribe button right now. And let me know in the comments below, how satisfying was his resurrection? My deceitful husband moved his beautiful, long-lost sister into my luxury penthouse, completely unaware that I am the billionaire CEO of the world's leading cybersecurity firm. For 3 months, I played the role of a weak, increasingly ill wife, letting Julian believe his sinister plan was actually working. He claimed Elena was his orphaned sister who needed a place to stay, but my hidden thermal security cameras immediately exposed their highly inappropriate, secret romance. I watched silently as Julian started slipping unauthorized sedatives into my evening tea, trying to slowly break my mind so he could declare me legally incompetent and seize my entire fortune. They thought I was just a naive, trusting woman slowly losing her grip on reality. What those two pathetic traitors didn't realize was that I had already swapped his dangerous pills with basic daily vitamins weeks ago. Every single whisper, every forged document, and every secret kiss was meticulously recorded and securely transmitted to a federal investigative task force. Tonight, Julian and Elena were hosting a lavish private dinner party for his corrupt lawyers to officially sign away my corporate empire. I didn't stay locked in my bedroom pretending to be asleep. I pushed open the heavy mahogany dining room doors wearing a flawless, pristine white designer suit, completely shedding my weak disguise. And I wasn't alone. I was flanked by a massive team of elite federal financial investigators. The elegant dinner music abruptly stopped as the corrupt lawyers gasped in absolute shock at my perfect clarity and power. Julian stumbled backward, his arrogant smile vanishing instantly as he stared directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. "But you're supposed to be heavily sedated," Elena stuttered, her fake innocent persona completely shattering as she realized the raid was real. "I never swallowed your poison," I whispered softly. I handed the lead investigator the glowing digital tablet, fully exposing Julian's massive medical fraud, their sickening affair, and the forged corporate documents. Julian's toxic smirk vanished instantly as the federal agents calmly detained him in front of his ruined legal team. Elena fell to her knees in her expensive black silk dress, sobbing hysterically and begging the agents to let her go. I walked right up to the head of the table, looking down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to erase my existence, radiating absolute, untouchable control. "Your access to my life is permanently denied," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted out the door to face severe federal justice. Today, they are facing decades behind bars, while I rule my tech empire in perfect peace. If you love seeing toxic traitors fall directly into their own traps, hit that subscribe button right now and let me know in the comments below. Would you have swapped the pills or let them drink it themselves? My manipulative husband hired his secret mistress to act as my live-in therapist, completely unaware that I am the billionaire founder of a global surveillance technology empire. For 2 agonizing months, Julian and Chloe played a sick, twisted psychological game with my mind. They secretly moved my personal belongings, deleted my important emails, and subtly drugged my morning coffee.
I see everything.
Chloe would sit beside me, holding my hand with a fake, empathetic smile, convincing me that I was slowly losing my grip on reality. Julian's ultimate goal was to have me legally declared mentally incompetent so he could seize complete control of my tech company and my massive personal trust fund. They thought I was just a naive, fragile woman spiraling into madness. What those 2 pathetic traitors didn't realize was that my entire luxury penthouse was a highly advanced prototype testing ground for my company's invisible micro cameras. I had meticulously recorded every single time Julian crushed my pills, every secret kiss they shared in my hallway, and every forged medical document Chloe drafted. Tonight, Julian hosted an intimate dinner with a corrupt state judge, planning to force me to sign away my entire life and permanently commit me to a psychiatric facility. I didn't walk into that dining room trembling and confused. I pushed open the heavy glass doors wearing a flawless, pristine white designer suit, completely shedding my weak, paranoid disguise. And I wasn't alone. I was flanked by an elite team of federal cybercrime investigators. The polite dinner conversation abruptly stopped as the corrupt judge gasped in absolute shock at my perfect clarity and commanding presence. Julian stumbled backward, his arrogant, gaslighting smile vanishing instantly as he stared directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. Chloe stuttered, desperately trying to maintain her fake medical persona as she realized the federal raid was entirely real. "I'm afraid my memory is absolutely perfect," I whispered softly. I handed the lead investigator a glowing digital drive, fully exposing their massive medical fraud, their sickening affair, and Julian's embezzlement. Julian's toxic smirk vanished instantly as the federal agents calmly detained him right in front of the judge. Chloe fell to her knees in her expensive silk dress, sobbing hysterically and begging the agents to let her go. I walked right up to the head of the table, looking down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to destroy my mind, radiating absolute, untouchable control. "Your psychological game is officially over," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted out the door to face severe federal justice. "Today, they are locked away in a federal prison, while my mind and my empire remain completely untouchable." If you love seeing manipulative traitors fall directly into their own traps, hit that subscribe button right now and let me know in the comments below. Would you have let them play the game a little longer? My deceitful husband tried to drug my champagne to steal my private jet, completely unaware that I am a fully licensed commercial pilot and the sole owner of the aircraft. For months, I played the role of the oblivious, trusting wife, letting Julian believe his sinister plan to drain my offshore accounts was actually working. He claimed we were taking a romantic holiday to the Maldives, but my hidden security team had already intercepted his encrypted messages to his secret mistress, Chloe. I watched silently as Julian slipped a heavy sedative into my pre-flight drink, smiling warmly at me whilst checking his expensive watch. I pretended to take a sip, letting the champagne spill into a napkin, and flawlessly faked falling into a deep unconscious sleep in the passenger seat. As soon as my eyes closed, Julian unlocked the cabin doors and sneaked Chloe on board, laughing cruelly about how they were going to drop my unconscious body off in a foreign country and disappear with my billions. They thought I was just a fragile, helpless woman, completely at their mercy at 40,000 feet. What those two pathetic traitors didn't realize was that I had already dismissed the original flight crew. The moment they went to the rear bedroom suite to celebrate their stolen wealth, I quietly stood up, completely shedding my weak disguise. I walked straight into the cockpit, locked the heavy reinforced steel door behind me, and took full manual control of the airplane. I violently banked the jet, instantly turning the luxurious, bright cabin into a terrifying, turbulent nightmare. The romantic music abruptly cut out, replaced by my voice echoing coldly through the intercom, announcing that their offshore accounts were permanently frozen. Julian stumbled out of the bedroom, his arrogant smile vanishing instantly as he stared through the small, reinforced glass window of the cockpit door, staring directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. "Open this door immediately!" he shouted, his face turning pale white with sheer terror as he realized we were rapidly descending. "Enjoy your final destination," I whispered softly into the microphone. Julian dropped to his knees, sobbing hysterically and banging his fists against the bulletproof glass, begging for mercy as the ground rushed up to meet us. I didn't land in the Maldives. I smoothly touched down the multi-million-pound jet on the private, highly secure tarmac of a federal maximum security prison. Heavily armed police officers immediately swarmed the aircraft. I stepped out onto the metal stairs wearing a flawless white aviator suit, radiating absolute,
untouchable control. Today, they are facing decades behind bars, whilst I fly my jet in perfect peace. If you love seeing toxic traders fly directly into their own traps, hit that subscribe button right now. And let me know in the comments below. Would you have deployed the oxygen masks? My deceitful husband moved his beautiful, long-lost sister into my luxury penthouse, completely unaware that I am the billionaire CEO of the world's leading cybersecurity firm. For 3 months, I played the role of a weak, increasingly ill wife, letting Julian believe his sinister plan was actually working. He claimed Elena was his orphaned sister who needed a place to stay, but my hidden thermal security cameras immediately exposed their highly inappropriate secret romance. I watched silently as Julian started slipping unauthorized sedatives into my evening tea, trying to slowly break my mind so he could declare me legally incompetent and seize my entire fortune. They thought I was just a naive, trusting woman slowly losing her grip on reality. What those two pathetic traitors didn't realize was that I had already swapped his dangerous pills with basic daily vitamins weeks ago. Every single whisper, every forged document, and every secret kiss was meticulously recorded and securely transmitted to a federal investigative task force. Tonight, Julian and Elena were hosting a lavish private dinner party for his corrupt lawyers to officially sign away my corporate empire. I didn't stay locked in my bedroom pretending to be asleep. I pushed open the heavy mahogany dining room doors wearing a flawless, pristine white designer suit, completely shedding my weak disguise. And I wasn't alone. I was flanked by a massive team of elite federal financial investigators. The elegant dinner music abruptly stopped as the corrupt lawyers gasped in absolute shock at my perfect clarity and power. Julian stumbled backward, his arrogant smile vanishing instantly as he stared directly into my perfectly focused, dominant eyes. "But you're supposed to be heavily sedated," Elena stuttered, her fake, innocent persona completely shattering as she realized the raid was real. "I never swallowed your poison," I whispered softly. I handed the lead investigator the glowing digital tablet, fully exposing Julian's massive medical fraud, their sickening affair, and the forged corporate documents. Julian's toxic smirk vanished instantly as the federal agents calmly detained him in front of his ruined legal team. Elena fell to her knees in her expensive black silk dress, sobbing hysterically and begging the agents to let her go. I walked right up to the head of the table, looking down at the pathetic narcissists who tried to erase my existence, radiating absolute, untouchable control. "Your access to my life is permanently denied," I announced, turning my back as they were escorted out the door to face severe federal justice. Today, they are facing decades behind bars while I rule my tech empire in perfect peace. If you love seeing toxic traders fall directly into their own traps, hit that subscribe button right now. And let me know in the comments below, would you have swapped the pills or let them drink it themselves?
I stole a $500 million empire from my ruthless billionaire boss, but the reason why will completely shock you. My name is Natalia. I'm a 20-year-old Slavic blonde, and I know exactly how dangerous my beauty can be. My target was Marcus, a cruel 55-year-old CEO who famously destroyed rival companies and ruined innocent families for fun. I applied to be his personal executive secretary, perfectly playing the role of a sweet, naive, and completely harmless girl. On my very first day, I wore a dangerously tight black pencil skirt and a deeply unbuttoned white silk blouse. The moment I walked into his sun-drenched corner office, Marcus was entirely paralyzed by pure, toxic lust. "You're hired, Natalia," he smirked greedily, completely unaware he had just invited his absolute worst nightmare into his life. Over the next few months, I masterfully played a highly addictive game of psychological and physical seduction. I would lean in incredibly close to whisper his daily schedule, letting my expensive perfume drive him completely insane. The heavy, suffocating sexual tension finally snapped one evening when we were completely alone in the dark office. Marcus aggressively pinned me against the massive glass window and kissed me hungrily, sealing his own inevitable fate. From that night on, we engaged in a deeply passionate, highly secret affair right under everyone's noses. But the real danger wasn't Marcus. It was the massive secret I was hiding in the shadows. One rainy evening, a dangerously hot, muscular, young blonde man sneaked past corporate security and entered my private office. It was Leo. He grabbed my waist, kissing me deeply just feet away from Marcus's closed mahogany door. Suddenly, the main elevator dinged loudly. Marcus's furious, wealthy wife, Evelyn, was storming down the hallway. My heart completely stopped. If Evelyn caught me with Leo, our entire master plan would be instantly destroyed. I aggressively shoved Leo into the narrow executive supply closet just seconds before Evelyn violently burst into the room. "Where is my cheating husband?" Evelyn screamed hysterically, slamming her expensive designer bag onto my sleek desk. Marcus rushed out of his office, his face turning pale as Evelyn started throwing documents and screaming about a brutal divorce. I stood perfectly still, playing the terrified secretary, while silently praying Leo wouldn't make a single sound. Evelyn was demanding half of the company, swearing to freeze all of Marcus's multi-billion-dollar assets immediately. Through the tiny crack in the closet door, I saw Leo's dark eyes, watching the chaos with a wicked, satisfied smirk. After security finally dragged the screaming wife away, Marcus collapsed into his leather chair, rubbing his face in absolute panic. This was the exact productive discomfort we had anticipated, the absolute perfect moment to spring our ultimate trap. I slowly walked over to Marcus, gently sliding my hands down his tense shoulders, using my physical touch to manipulate him. "She's going to take everything, Marcus. You need to hide the liquid cash immediately," I whispered softly against his ear. "Where? The IRS is watching my every single move," he panicked, completely stripped of his usual arrogant power. "A blind offshore trust," I suggested sweetly. "I can sign the papers. They will never trace it to a simple secretary." Marcus hesitated, looking deeply into my fake, loving blue eyes, but his immense greed and fear heavily clouded his judgment. "You're the only person I trust, Natalia," he whispered,